Namaskar. Does United Kingdom and a few other countries in the Western Europe want Ukraine to continue fighting? What's going on? There was a summit yesterday in London. All these things are happening right after Zelensky was asked to leave the White House. He flew straight from there to London, and a lot of things have happened. That's the what we are going to update you with today. Please stay with us. I'm also going to give you a latest update on the ground situation in Ukraine, what is happening to the conscription. Because if you remember, J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, had mentioned, I know what you're doing with conscription. It breaks my heart. Ukrainians are my friends. These are people who don't deserve this war, in my opinion, and they are being subjected to a lot of stress at this point of time. I don't know, or actually I'm going to explain to you what the Western European countries are thinking about this war, why they want to continue. I'm going to show you a slide deck. Please like this video, and if you have not subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe to our channel. Here we go. So as soon as Zelensky lands in United Kingdom, Keir Starmer welcomes him, and then he says that we are going to give you a loan of $2.8 billion, $2.8 billion, so that you can go and build your own armaments. Remember, I've been telling you about this new drone, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 drones that Ukraine has invented, and they are deploying it for the last 2 weeks. And these things cost in a few $1,000s per piece, and they have been able to go in up to 250 kilometers inside Russian territory. The 𝗏𝗏𝗏 drones can have warheads. Sometimes they don't have warheads. So they are basically doing what Hezbollah tried to do to Israel, to try and break through the Iron Dome. Just keep throwing hundreds and hundreds at a time. If 2 or 3 get through, that's good. Those things will have warheads, and that will go and cause a lot of damage in Russia. So that is the 𝗏𝗏𝗏 drone. They also have a new one called Bulava, which is a strike drone. So that is a separate thing. So they are trying to create something new. And before these drones came along, what used to happen was the drones that US supplied and Europe supplied to Ukraine, when they tried to use those used to be controlled. Drones have to be controlled from the ground. And that control, the communication happens over Wi-Fi, just like the way we connect to internet in most of our cities and homes. So what was happening was the Russian programmers were able to successfully decode the communication, and they were actually disrupting that process so that the drones would lose their way and they would go and fall harmlessly. But these new drones, I'm told, are quite effective, and they are able to escape detection from the Russian. Good for them that they are able to do this thing. But at what cost is this coming? Before I go into the slide deck, I want to show you on the street scene in Ukraine, because J.D. Vance, remember, he said that I've been seeing what you are doing to do conscription. Conscription means compulsory service in the army for all able-bodied people. I don't know if women are also being forced, but the men are being forced. It used to be 18 years. Now they have lowered it to 16. Just watch this. The kid is hardly 16, and they are forcing them to basically sign up for the army. In fact, I have seen other videos, especially one on the 28th of February. It's nighttime and it's on a street, and one kid comes out probably to run some errand for his parents, and the kid is picked up from the street. The kid tries to run here, there. I mean, this is horrible. 16-year-olds fighting for them, dying in the battlefield. I mean, I don't know why Ukraine wants to continue fight. I'm just telling you as a father, it is very difficult to see young children being put out to fight. They hardly know fighting. They are not even getting training properly, I'm told. Anyway, this is what is happening on the ground. So let's go back to the slide deck now and take a look at what is going on. Next slide, please. So Zelensky demanded security guarantee. So what is clear now is that the European nations such as United Kingdom, Germany, France, they would like Ukraine to be included into NATO, and the one that is stubbornly resisting that is United States. And why is United States resisting that? Because United States feels, and I've done this 24 hours ago, I did a monologue on this. US has been told clearly by Russia, you add Ukraine to NATO, all bets are off. And US wants to stop the war. One wants to stop the war, the other wants to continue the war. This is where the West is right now. There is a split. I'm sorry to say this thing, and many of you may not like me, but this is what I see. United Kingdom, Germany, France, all of them appear to be wanting to continue the battle in Ukraine. After all, they are not sending any boots on the ground. Although I've heard, again, Keir Starmer promised that he's going to put 10,000 soldiers on the ground, just United Kingdom. And some other countries, their army itself is less than 1,000 people. How many people are they going to deploy? 110, 90 people, 100 people? Look, Europe does not have the army. And everybody is wanting to ride on the shoulders of the Ukrainians, go fight, you die for your land, then we'll come in and occupy. That seems to be the story. I mean, I could be horribly wrong here. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I'm seeing the whole thing play. And this is where the whole thing is stuck. US wants to make a deal with Russia where it is impossible for Russia to attack Ukraine again, because US would be there to try and get the resources out of the Ukraine, like minerals. But this is where the problem is. I think that the Western Europe also wants access to the same minerals. Only one can get them, either this or that. Unfortunately for the Western Europe, the money that has been put in by the European countries, they have also put money. It's not that they have not put money, but it pales in comparison with how much the United States has put in. That is why this whole thing about US wanting to do the negotiations with Russia. Putin says, I won't talk to Zelensky. And viewers, please remember, again, another video I released at 6 a.m. today morning India time, about 14 hours ago, where I had said about it was the third time that Zelensky walked away from signing that minerals deal. Third time. That's why they blew the fuse. But nobody goes and looks at what happened before this. See, a lot of things are happening in the background, and we are being given dribs and drabs. My guess is it's not UK per se. It is not the British citizens who want to go and fight this war or who want Ukraine to continue fighting. I believe this is a deep state play. City of London, that is the place that I can say from where deep state comes. Think 10, 20, 30 generations of royalty. Some of them have their monies. A lot of things are locked up. They want the war to continue, because if war continues, the military industry complex in all these countries will thrive. Although I must say that they will still need arms and ammunition from the United States, but still they have something. Basically, long and short of it is, some people have a vested interest in continuing this war. And Trump has said that you do this and then that's going to be World War III. This is why he's saying that I cannot include you in NATO. This has been very, very clearly spelled out. And this is where the sticking point is, because each side knows they will not take this step. You know what this next thing has happened? Go to the next slide, please. Very, very interesting development happened. So people say that Zelensky departed abruptly from the White House. My sources tell me that when this press conference blew up, there was lunch kept outside for both parties. Basically, the idea was to finish the press conference, sign it, and then have lunch, and then, have another addressing the press conference and say that this is what we want to do. But they never got up to the signing bit. And this thing got finished. They abruptly moved out. There was a guest room in White House, I'm told, where the Ukrainians, along with President Zelensky, were waiting. And the national security advisor went in 5 minutes later and said that President would like you to leave. And then there was a meet the press, like President left for Mar-a-Lago in the afternoon on Friday. I think it was Mar-a-Lago. It could have been Camp David. Basically, I saw him just about to embark on a helicopter. And that's when he addressed the reporters. And he said that whenever Zelensky is ready, we will see. is not being committal. So US has more or less said that this is the third time you have come and you have walked away from signing this deal. So we need to go back and take a step back. So US has taken a step back. How is the war going to continue? US has paused aid, no more money to Ukraine. How is the war going to continue? If the war doesn't continue, then it gives an easy passage for Putin to come and overrun the whole of Ukraine, right? So what happens is Zelensky flies out of DC, directly goes to London. And along the way, he starts putting out tweets saying that, oh, I'm very appreciative of the help that the US has given so far. So essentially, it is like pinching the baby and rocking the cradle, in my opinion. Again, look, I have been looking at a lot of data to try and come up with these kind of observations. So please feel free to comment. I'm not expecting all of you to agree with what I'm saying. I just see that there are two parties who want to benefit from the misery of this war, and both want to have the upper hand. That's all I think. But to be fair, the amount of money that US has put in is more than what the entire Western Europe has put in, much more than that. Also, the stakes here are like, why do you want to keep fighting? Interestingly, here is a Republican president who wants to not go to war. So this is one of the paradoxical situations we have in history. Normally, Republican presidents tend to be more war hawks. They are more hawkish in their foreign policy. They like to flex their muscles around. This has been the image. But now you're seeing the opposite. Biden went to war with Russia, even though the adversary was China. So all these things are happening. Now let's see what happened after that when he met with Keir Starmer. Go to the next slide, please. So what happens is that he leaves Oval Office, he comes to number 10 Downing Street, and UK says that we will give you advanced technology weaponry, and we are also going to give you we are going to increase our arms production, and we are going to give you that. And they said, well, we are willing to commit 10,000 troops on the ground. An astute observer remarked on YouTube that if you want to put 10,000 active duty soldiers on ground, you really need to have 30,000, because the active duty people will have to take a break after 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever, to rest and re-energize, come back. So that means if you are having 10,000 active duty, you need 30,000 really. 10,000 backup, which comes to the front line. The front line go back, recharge, and come back again. It could be every 2 weeks, whatever. Then you also need people to run logistics, because this is not one place where the war is being held. It is being fought on multiple parts of Ukraine. How does one counter that? So this is just UK. Is Germany willing to put? Germany has not even decided who's going to be the next chancellor or whoever. Then don't kill me. I mean, Schulz was president or chancellor. I'm not remembering correctly. I'm sorry, I didn't do the exact words for it. But the person who's going to be running Germany is still being decided. They hope to form a government by middle of this week. And there are already complaints that the numbers are not matching up, that the election appears to have been rigged, that the AfD was forced to, I mean, basically you have the left and the non-left. The non-left is really screaming at the top of their voices, saying that this is not right. So you have all these problems. So how many other countries are going to pledge feet on the ground, boots on the ground? Does this mean then that UK is going to get into war, and then because UK is into the war and UK is a NATO member, therefore US should also come in? Will UK drag US into it? This is another new situation that will develop. If UK ends up sending 10,000 people to the front, that's going to create another problem. So there are lots of things going on here. I'm going to start looking at this thing more from the UK perspective and give you some inputs on what is happening in UK. Why is it so badly wanting to continue this war? I'm going to give you that one also. So next slide, please. Now what UK did was they granted a 2.26 billion pounds or $2.84 billion loan for domestic weapons manufacturing to Ukraine. And where does this money come from? It's not coming from the UK taxpayer. It is believed, it is alleged that this money the United Kingdom has taken out of the $300 billion that they froze of the Russian dividends. See, Russia has a lot of assets in the banks in the United Kingdom and perhaps in the Western Europe. And they said that they are going to withhold, this is the Biden administration too, by the way. They said that they are going to take 300 billion out of that money of Russia that's owed to Russia and give it to Ukraine for war repatriation. And see, that's another way now you're going to go and poke Putin. See, I'm not saying Putin is right or Ukraine is wrong. I'm not saying any judgments here. All I'm saying is one party wants to end the war, the other party wants to continue it. And I'm trying to tell you how this is going to take shape in the next few weeks. So, UK Chancellor of Exchequer, who is the Finance Minister of United Kingdom, Rachel Reeves, has signed it with Ukrainian Finance Minister Sergei Marchenko. This has been signed. They have $2.8 billion worth money from UK taken out of the money that is owed to Russia. That money is going to be used by Ukraine to make armaments and arms. Maybe there's drones and maybe other missiles. Ukraine had a fairly good missile manufacturing unit, and they may start building it. So they are arming themselves. In a way, Europe is trying to see if they can stand on their own legs and not depend upon the United States. That's a good thing, but all this is guinea pigged on the back of Ukraine. So Zelensky returns with some victory, saying that I've got 2.8 billion. But what is happening in Ukraine? I'll come to that in just one moment. British forces are continuing to train Ukrainian troops, and British have expanded their training programs, including pilot training for Western fighter jets. And intelligence sharing, intelligence gathering is going on. UK is committed to helping rebuild Ukraine's defense infrastructure, and we'll see where it goes. How many European leaders have supported this initiative? Germany, France, Spain, Poland, and Netherlands. They reaffirmed solidarity with Ukraine, and this is like the 2nd of March date. There are some who have stood out. Slovakia has said no. Germany's outgoing Chancellor Olaf, I was correct. Olaf Scholz stated that no one wants peace more than the Ukrainians. His likely successor, Friedrich Merz, vowed continued support for Ukraine. Zelensky will also meet King Charles III before attending a regional defense summit at Lancaster House. So Keir Starmer has really said that I am digging in. I'm not going to listen to US in this. I'm going to do this thing, because my guess is that it is a deep state which is charting this. It's a deep state that made sure that in France, somehow Macron manages to stay president. Le Pen has been denied there. That is a non-left party. The non-left party in Germany, the AfD, also is being kept out by means dubious as it's coming out. It is still coming out. We'll have more data in the days and weeks to come. Horrible things are happening. I mean, the other big problem that deep state has is they back Democrats in the United States, and the Democrats are now, there's a 4-letter word followed by scared, 4-letter word starting with the letter S, because they think that Elon Musk has mapped out the complete government spending pattern inside the US government. So essentially he knows how much money is being subverted from one department to another for a different cause. And this is why they hate DOGE. So a lot of things are happening on that angle also. Starmer, as you all know, he came to United States a day before Zelensky came, and I think he said something to Trump. So all of them have been doing this diplomatic, targeting of US. Macron came on his own. Keir Starmer came on his own. Then Zelensky came on his own, promising that he will sign the deal the third time, only to walk out again. Now tell me, this is the strongest, most powerful nation on the world. How would you as the leader feel if you have been stood up for the third time? They are going to be upset. So don't think that, oh, how could they do this? How could they do that? You are having partial information. I hope I have clarified all these things now. Now, the next thing that is happening, we can take away the slide deck. Thank you. The next thing that is happening is what is happening in Ukraine. One of the leaders of opposition, he's a member of parliament, he has called for a special session to impeach Zelensky. And why is that going to happen? That could end up happening. Why? Because, see, according to the Ukrainian constitution, the president needs to seek a mandate every 5 years. And Zelensky has been president for more than 5 years. And should the term of the Ukrainian parliament be extended, it only applies in the event of an emergency such as war. It only applies to the members of the parliament. It does not apply to the president. Therefore, his being the president today is questionable. And not only is that questionable, we have been hearing a report that Zelensky has practically shut down every opposing voice. I'm not saying that by convening the parliament and going for a vote that Zelensky will be voted down, because it would require a lot of people to change their loyalties to bring him down. But according to the Ukrainian constitution, today, the person who should be heading and making the decisions is the Speaker of the Parliament, not the President. Okay, this is an interpretation, and this is why I believe that Trump said that this guy has become like a dictator, because he is shutting down any opposing voices, shutting down any opposition parties, in fact, sending them to jail. So a lot of things are happening. We'll try and unravel it and keep it as simple as possible for you to understand. This is where we stand. Now I'd like to take some questions, please. Sanjay Saini wants to know, what if the leaders in European countries change soon? As US president got changed, Zelensky will again be orphaned. Sanjay, this is what I was telling you, that the change appears to be always going back towards the deep state supported parties. Like first round, Le Pen won big, and then suddenly something happened, votes changed, and the second round of voting, what happened was tactically candidates withdrew. Same thing that ADMK and DMK did. DMK forced ADMK, or ADMK agreed to be. They decided between them that they will keep Tamil Nadu to themselves. So what did they do? Strategically, candidates where BJP candidate was strong, ADMK candidates all pulled out. That is why BJP lost. Otherwise, they should have easily won 6 or 7 seats in the Lok Sabha elections in Tamil Nadu. They wanted to get it to zero. They were desperate. And it's not that the BJP did not know it. I think BJP could have also prepared for this a little bit better. Remember that they didn't think that they needed to rely on RSS. That was a huge mistake on part of BJP. Thinking and then saying it out? Come on now. RSS is a citadel, the fundamental bricklayer work, foundational block on top of which leaders like Modi and Nadda and Amit Shah have risen. Why would you want to say that? So, problems are like this. So now what they are trying to do is that they are trying to make sure that the left liberals will continue to be in power in all these bigger countries. You occupy France, you capture Germany. The only other countries that are rich and powerful, at least rich, is countries like Norway and Netherlands, and I see no change there. Netherlands, also you saw that the guy who was non-left didn't become prime minister. Geert Wilders did not become prime minister. What happened there? Can anyone explain how he was eased out of the prime ministership? Nobody seems to know. So a lot of hanky-panky is going on there. Next question, please. Bharat Chintan with Vinay Pai. Is there no depth in these Western countries? Is there no depth these Western countries are willing to fall to? Look, there is a formula that they are using, and this formula is explained by a commentator who has been an observer of Europe. I will locate that link and I'll put it in the reference link section. Viewers, don't take things based on my word. Look at the reference links. I'm giving you those things so that you make the considered opinion whether this is what is happening or that is what is happening. And you don't have to be right every time. My point in doing all these things is to give you this organized thought on anything in life, right? Don't take one person's view, one person's word and say that, okay, this is what it is. Because you are making decisions based on somebody else's wisdom. I want you to have the wisdom rather than having somebody else's wisdom be your guide. Next one. Swarupa Sahu wants to know, why is USA giving $400 million to Pakistan for maintenance of F-16? Why is Trump not blocking that fund to a terrorist state? This is being debated very hotly in the United States Congress and other political circles. Stay tuned. The last word has not been said yet. Next one, please. Govinda Guru wants to know, so by accepting $2.8 billion, is he telling that he doesn't want to stop the war? Yes, of course. Govinda ji, he is absolutely saying that. Krishna Kishore wants to know, why Zelensky signed 100-year deal with UK but does not want to do with USA? Well, did I explain to you the details in that 100-year deal? The 100-year deal talks about UK managing the entire gas structure, gas infrastructure, crude infrastructure, the port infrastructure, airports, seaports of Ukraine. Essentially, what they want to do with that is they ring-fenced everything. Now, this is the other complication. How will Zelensky walk back from that 100-year deal? So, see, I'm now beginning to put together the picture. I don't know if I've already said this in a previous episode, but I'll tell it to you in just 1 minute. September 2024, Zelensky comes to meet Trump. At that point of time, Trump had not won the election yet. He was said to be the person who might succeed. And there was an agreement in place about how Ukraine would pay back United States. Okay, in December, Starmer signs this 100-year agreement with Ukraine. That's why the US is pissed, royally pissed, in fact. So this is the background of it, and then you can see what is playing out in the front. Next one. Manoj Soma wants to know, can we expect Trump to control left media? Even in India, they are giving a free negative publicity for Trump, saying that Trump is a madman. Very sad to hear that, sir. Trump is no war, your views. Trump is not mad. He is very, very lucid, and he is very, very clear in his thought process. I mean, you just watch that press conference. You don't have to watch the 40-minute thing. You just watch during the conflagration where people are having heated argument back and forth. He's very calm. He's saying that I'm letting this thing go because I want the US people to know what happened. Only after all this happened, people started digging back to see what was the other story that was going on across the pond, in UK, in Germany, in France. Why are these countries wanting to continue the war? What is it that they know that US doesn't know? Next. Subramanian Raju wants to know, how long will it be before Zelensky is backstabbed by EU? Well, EU doesn't have limitless funds, but they have started this precedent by taking it out of what was owed to Russia allegedly, just to poke the bear a little bit more. It's going to be something very interesting outcome. But they are running out of hands. They are running out of people, and the NATO countries dare not put feet on the ground in Ukraine, because once that happens, US is going to get really mad, because according to Article 5 of NATO, US would have to jump in itself too. So this is a complex web that has been woven. It's not going to be so easy to take it out, and Russia is just watching. They're just hitting here, there, here, everywhere, and having some fun. This is what is happening right now. Srinivas Iyengar wants to know, will it not be disastrous for Europe to back hypocrite Zelensky to continue to fight, ending in disaster for all? What is wrong on the part of Trump to have good relations with Russia? Nothing at all. This is going to be, see, I don't know how much of actual control Zelensky has in Ukraine. Unfortunately, like I said, whoever commits whatever mistake, the Ukrainian people are paying for that. Very, very sad. Next one. Eve Novik, Zelensky said Putin had violated every ceasefire. He was looking for guarantees. You seem to have distorted this into Zelensky wants the war to continue. Would you trust Putin? Long story, Eve. You have to go back to 1945, February 7th to February 14th, when there was a palace in Crimea where the three then heads of state met, Churchill, Roosevelt, and Stalin. Unfortunately for the United States, Roosevelt passed away within a few weeks after that. And therefore, I think US hand got a little bit weaker. US was fighting Japan in the Pacific, and they wanted Russia to join. I don't think the Russians joined there. The Russians declared war on Japan the day after Japan surrendered, after the 2 bombs were dropped on Japan. Look, it's not easy. Who's right, who's wrong? You'll have to go back and look at this thing. 2/3 of the German army was fighting the Russians. And because Germany had occupied much of Eastern Europe by that time, when the Russians defeated Germany, they got all these things and they just did not free those countries. They just kept them together, and that's how the USSR was born. So you can go back and forth. This is what really happened. Next one. Sree Rakulan Kuhat Hassan wants to know, Rakulan, actually it's Rahulan, I think. The same thing played out in the case of SL Tamizh. When many wanted to stop the war, TN politicians like 𝗏𝗏 and Karunanidhi and the missionary mafias did not want it to be. Absolutely. Raghulan, I have a lot of friends from Sri Lanka. When I used to be in college, we used to have very, very difficult conversations. We all knew we're all of one kind. We all spoke the same mother tongue, native language. We all had the same cultural habits, and yet we were on the opposite sides of a conflict. I'm talking about IPKF time and all that stuff. Very, very sad. Next question, please. Sanjay, thank you so much for your super sticker. Krishna Kishore, Zelensky was asking 250 billion from EU. Your analysis, left versus right, deep state war. See, this is the last throw of the dice of the deep state, in my opinion. If Trump is able to break this, a lot of other things will fall in place. In fact, it is believed that some of these very politicians who are now taking a left-leaning stance might change their stance and become more non-left. Next one. Subramanian Raju wants to know, EU trying to stand on their own. Are you serious? Can they? I don't know. Let's not be too dismissive. Let's wait and see what happens. Next one, please. Kamal Munga wants to know, when UK is going to help Zelensky, what will be the position of USA? Well, I think the US is going to just wait and watch this thing, because US has problems of its own. See, you need to also look at the other thing that is going on about gold. I've done so far, I think I've released 3. The 4th one will be released shortly about the gold series, and there are a couple more episodes coming. But essentially, there is so much gold. That gold is the sum total of what was probably in the US and the UK, and looks like the same quantity has been put out, leased out, sold. So until somebody takes a realistic inventory of what is in Fort Knox, what is in the New York branch of US Fed, to see how much close to the 8,130 odd metric tons that the US claims to have in its asset sheet. Is it really there? This is real gold, not the one that has titanium filled inside and then just have a coating of gold. I don't know. This is a very important point in the entire financial system of the world. So US is probably going to start looking internal. They're going to start looking at what exactly is the position about that, because US wants to do something with the currency, the US dollar, and wait for that. Just wait for a few days. You'll know. Aruna in Irande wants to know, isn't UK dependent on USA for a lot of things? Yes, they are. So this is like, well, we'll fight on these things, but we'll be friendly on these things. You get it? Next one. Raghulan Kuhat Hassan wants to know, does Starmer badly want to bankrupt the UK? Just around 2 weeks back, many big banks like JP Morgan shipped back billions of gold from the vaults of the Bank of England. See, this is the thing. The gold that was kept for safekeeping in Bank of England, they let it remain there because they figured out the cost of moving the gold from UK to any other place was quite high, because the cost of gold was not that high. Now the cost of gold has come up to like 2,950 plus per ounce. So now suddenly gold is a very precious commodity. That's why all these movements are happening. And it is said that if a country wants to draw out the gold that it has deposited in Bank of England, it is taking up to 6 months. Now there is a reason for that also. I'll give you. There is also a reason. It's not like so. In the Bank of England, the gold bars are stored as gold bars, trapezoidal or square, rectangular. The weight is not exactly the same. It is between 350 pounds to ounces to 450 ounces. 350 ounces to 450 ounces. 1 ounce is 31 grams. So you get the idea. So let us say I want to take 1800 ounces. Then you have to go inside the vault and then look at what combination of these bricks will come up to 1800 ounces and then give it to you. So that is taking some time. Legal, valid, yes. This is one way to look at it. But there could be other things also. Some country might say, I want the exact brick that I gave you, and that brick had this this symbol of my country's flag in it. I want that particular brick only. I don't want any other brick. Then what does Britain do? He doesn't remember who gave what, and nobody knows. If the banks got bricks leased out, then who knows what bricks are there and how much gold is there in those bricks. Kannan wants to know which war UK won without US support. Good question. Good question. Next one. The answer is 0. Janardhan Singh wants to know who planted Zelensky? Guess. So they'll like him to continue with their agenda. Very good question, Janardhan ji. This is the Victoria Newland of the world. Next one. Neta Mafia wants to know, whatever be the result of these discussions, fights, ceasefires, or any other drama between all these jokers involved, isn't it a fact that Russia won this war in Ukraine and NATO lost? On this day, it would appear so. Thank you, Aniket Mahajan. In 2014, same regime change in Ukraine like Bangladesh to start war against Russia by deep state. Yes, absolutely correct. In fact, there is a leaked audio doing the rounds of the conversation between Victoria Nuland and the then ambassador of United States to Ukraine. Very, very harsh language used. And it also shows the hubris that US feels it had. I leave it to that. I leave it at that. Murli, what's the game of EU visiting Bharat suddenly? Everybody is desperate for business. They only see Bharat as going further in terms of growth, because everybody else is stalled, guys. Everybody is stalled. And that brings us to a close of today's program. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you have not already subscribed, please do subscribe to our channel and also click on the bell button and choose all. Namaskar.